Welcome, everybody. Happy April. It is, I say this every single month, but it's crazy that it's already the middle of April. I think it's flown by, um, or maybe it's been slow for you. It seems like everybody has a different answer, but this Q&A, we are going to deep dive into settings that you don't want to miss. So a little bit of admin, getting everybody settled in, kind of announcements first, and then we'll get into the content. So if you are brand new to us, or if you've just seen our name in the Facebook group, hi, welcome. Erica and Jody here. We started HSC just because we're really big systems and workflow nerds, and we're avoiding our actual work to go look at all the new cool features and deep dive into, oh, well, how could you do this in double and stuff like that. So we decided to make this our full-time gig. We are currently specializing in doubles, so that does not mean that we are experts by any means, but that means we at least have a good handle on where everything typically lives and new features, at least keeping an eye out for a lot of those things. So we are excited to have you on this call just to be able to gush about double for the next hour, honestly. That being said, one of the things that's really important to us that we wish we would have heard along our business journey and still need the reminder today is be careful about what you are putting on your plate or on your shoulders. So these are all ideas that you could implement or could check out in double. These are not shoulds. We have plenty of other shoulds, internal and external, for ourselves as human beings, but especially when it comes to business and entrepreneurship and how you should be using double. We are not those people. We're here to just share ideas, inspo, have you ask questions, that sort of thing. So just be careful not to should on yourself because of anything that you see here in this call today.
Speaking of questions, please drop them into the chat at any point. If you came in today with a question, go ahead and drop it in. Don't wait till the end. We will do our deep dive, sharing some key settings that we think you guys would like to know about, or that we want to make sure that you know about. But at any point, please drop the questions into the chat, whether it's related to settings or anything in double. Just go ahead and drop that in. We will go through the whole chat, so we'll make sure we cover every question that comes our way. And the last bit of housekeeping here is a recording of today's call will be available on the YouTube channel on Friday, and it'll also get sent out to all registrants as well. And with
Yeah, so
that,
that just means that if you miss anything, or
yeah.
whether you want to follow along or you have to hop off to another call, need to go back to something that we went through a little bit too quickly, don't feel like you have to frantically take notes on this call or miss your next meeting. Nothing that serious, and it'll all be uploaded.
With that, let's get into it. So we're going to highlight some key things from the practice settings, client portal settings, and user settings, and then we'll open it up for any and all questions. So first one we're going to highlight today is in our practice settings. On that first workflows tab, you have the ability to turn on or turn off the different roles. So we have preparer, reviewer, and manager within the close. If you have a tax suite, you also have this available in the tax suite area as well. But if you don't like these names, if they're not names that you use internally, you can change that. So you can toggle on this override assignee labels here and then put in your replacement, whatever it is that you want it to be called. Some people have, this is an example of like junior and senior bookkeeper and then an account manager. Some might have a bookkeeper, some may have a reviewer. So it all just depends on how you're set up, but you have that flexibility to be able to change the titles here. One thing to keep in mind is that on the client list, it'll show you one or two letters for it. So we have a space here so that on our client list, it'll show junior and senior. I've seen it set up where somebody will do BK for bookkeeper, or they'll space it out, book space keeper, so that they have that on their client list, that header for that column. But all of these are things that you can select. For example, in the templates, you can select a role, and then when you drop that template in, it'll autofill whoever is assigned to that role. So anyways, in your practice settings on that workflows tab, you have the ability to turn those on and rename them if you'd like.
And this is one that's important to understand, that you can turn on a couple, but not all three as well. I see some people that as they're growing their firm, they may just have a bookkeeper on the ground and then a reviewer. We may not have all three roles. So you can play around with two roles, with three roles, and with replacing those labels across the board. So very
Yeah.
customizable.
Or just one role if you only have one.
True, very true.
Next up on the same tab in our practice settings, on that workflows tab, you get to choose when that client list turns green. So we have you can have it turned off so that it never turns green. And what we're talking about is on that client list page, when the entire line highlights green, which typically signals that that close is complete. And so a lot of us love to see all green by the end of the month or by the middle of the month to show that closes are done. But you can choose if that happens at all, and if so, when does that happen? Does it happen when you physically change the uh, close status to done? Does it automatically do it when you cross off all close tasks? And then that's done, or do you want to have it off completely? So this is a nice little hidden feature in there for that green highlight.
Absolutely. And one important distinction here is the second option is if you have been a long time double or keeper user and you're used to all of your tasks, including the ones in general, having to be checked off before it turns green. That was the previous default. So if you're like, which of these is how it was? That's the middle option. Now we have the option to either not turn it green at all. So our brain, if our brain is monochromatic and does not like that green, or if we update the status regardless of what's checked off or not. So lots of
Yeah.
flexibility here and allows you to get a green highlight when you choose it rather than having to mark every single task off. So, really important one there. This is a newer one that we were really excited to see. And I think Jody and I both accidentally stumbled onto it when we were looking for something else. But on the workflows tab, you can actually set your default template now. So this means that when you, let's say, have an unconnected client and you connect them to a ledger, what actually drops in. So, where this comes really in handy is if you already have a template where you have SOPs or like subtasks and checklists that go along with a lot of those default reports that come in double, like your uncategorized and your expense inconsistency and stuff like that. If you want that to drop in automatically, you can select in here which one you would actually like to use as a baseline. So, that's a really cool, very tiny, it's not going to make or break anything, but it is one less click that you have to do to go apply your month-end template. You may still apply other ones like payroll or onboarding or something like that to layer on top of or stack like little Lego blocks, but it's cool that you can now go in and change which one you want to be your default and have those SOPs or resource links or anything like that go ahead and drop in automatically.
Right now we're moving on over to the section manager tab of your practice settings. Here you can show client details. So this is an added section that you can put at the top of your client page where it gives you a square here that you can have additional information. We've seen people use this for key details that you always want to keep top of mind, um, or quick links for things that you reference on a regular basis. But to do that, you can just click to enable or to show those client details here. And this, of course, this is firm wide. So if you turn it on, it's going to be turned on for every client. If you turn it off, it'll be turned off for every client.
Exactly. And this it doesn't mean that you like turn on or off client details. Like client details will always live up in that little I or info
Info.
section next to like we'll show a demo here in a minute. But on the client page, you'll always be able to see client details. It's just do you want that as like a sticky note at the top of a page for any reminders, any quick links, anything like that before you see all of your tasks.
Yeah. Give it over. So another fun one that is kind of hidden here in your settings is adding a date that shows when questions were asked in the transaction questions of your client portal. So down here, we have a preview of what the client portal transaction question page looks like with this turned on. So it's all the way at the very end under this file reviews. You can toggle it on and it adds this column. So here we have the transaction date, the actual date that the transaction is assigned to that had took place. And then here's the date when you asked a question to the client. So this can kind of help you to gauge how long have you been waiting for feedback from your client. And just it can be helpful information as you're processing through.
One of my favorites is to be able to show your firm name. Ignore the two fours there. Got really excited. But so now we are in the client portal tab on the left-hand side. This is a really cool one because if you have individual users and you have a team managing, you don't have to worry about your team member who is asking the question being shown. It's going to show Hughes and Strong Consulting or whatever your actual firm name is. That way you don't have to worry about any, like some clients may be a little bit hesitant to have different bookkeepers that are like other than the owner working on their file or anything like that. So if you are in a team, this means that you can keep consistency and not have three or four different team members' names shown on all of that. I believe it still shows on your end who asked the question, but it's just for client visibility on their side. It just shows that it was asked by the firm as a whole. So that can be a really nice piece to turn on. And then the other one here on the client portal page that we wanted to highlight is that you can have double kind of automatically sync any files that were attached to a transaction. So if the client came back and added a receipt or shot you something like that as a supporting document within a transaction question, then that can actually push over to QBO or Zero automatically rather than having another couple of buttons and you need to click for each and every transaction question.
This works internally as well. So if you are reviewing a file and you happen to have the documents already and you upload it through Double to that transaction as you're reviewing, same thing. It'll automatically push over to your ledger. So again, it just saves you a couple more clicks. You don't have to manually click to push the files over anymore. So whether the client uploads them to that transaction or you internally upload to that transaction, having this enabled auto syncs that as well.
That's a great call out there, Jody.
Yeah.
This is one that we get asked about all the time, but if you have archived clients that are showing on your client list and they show grayed out and you don't want them to be there, then in your all client settings on that far side for archive clients, you can actually turn off that option. So you can still go back in this tab to go to those different files. This doesn't mean that you can't get to them to review any previous questions or anything like that. It just means they're not showing on your client list and making it stack for half of the clients that you don't do anymore or don't have in your rotation. So this is a really good one to know about whether you do want them to show and you want to manually filter them out and have an archive clients view and then an active clients view. You can absolutely do that. You have that flexibility here, or you can go ahead and untoggle or uncheck and then go into your practice settings to be able to go review those files in if you need to.
Yeah. Okay, so something else that's hidden in our display settings. So this is actually some settings that you can enable on your client list. It's found underneath the special features tab. And again, we're going to jump into the demo so we can show you exactly where these are located. But this one is talking on that special features. It's at the top display settings. And it's a way that you can adjust your client list view. And again, we'll highlight this in the demo so that you can see it. But these can be very helpful settings as well to minimize the visual overwhelm of your client list. You can kind of condense things down so that it's easier to glance at and see just what you need to be working on. This is a question that I get a lot. So, what happens when you hit enter? When you're doing client questions, when you're, messaging replies within the client portal, or even when you're doing your internal chats? When you hit enter, sometimes you want to hit enter to make another line instead of sending that message right away. Underneath your user settings, you have the option here to select what happens when you press enter. And then you can use Shift Enter for the other one. So if you have it to where when you hit enter, it sends the message, that means that in order to start a new line, you would need to do something different there.
Yep, this one's an easy one to miss, or to
Yes.
not know you have the option to go in and play with this. But this one boggles my brain all the time. So I'm glad that they gave us the option to go in and play for whatever you naturally would do in other softwares, to be able to see this. So, like we said, we'll go ahead and show this in the demo, but this is not your
Yes.
practice settings. This is up in the right corner where you see like your initials or
Yep.
your little face if you have a picture in there.
Picture in there. Yeah. So that is a good distinction. Practice settings, that's that cog, that little wheel. And then user settings, that's going to be your icon, either a picture or your initials up in the top. One more user setting that we'll highlight, and then we're going to get into our demo. Notifications. You can choose some. We have limited availability here of what we can turn on and off, but this is what's available. So what you get, when you get it, and who it's for. Internally, these are all your general ones. So this is related to whether you're getting that daily email with all the tasks that are due, if you want emails about comments, internal comments to you, or assigned tasks. And then there's options for the sign-offs as well. So those are here in general. Externally, what happens with clients, that's going to be down underneath client questions here. This is a great place to come and check to see, am I getting notified when my clients respond to questions in the portal? You can check here to see how many clients are listed. If you need everybody, you can select from the drop down, or if you're getting notifications for clients maybe that you're not working on, you can look here as well to see them across all of your clients. The enable instant notifications is exactly that. If this is turned on, then the moment your client responds to something, you get an email notifying you of that. Um, if you have it off, like it's shown here, then what you get is a kind of like a daily update. It'll say these clients answered questions today, and it'll give you a list of which clients answered questions. Um, we do have feature requests out there, very popular ones to be able to have more flexibility of what you can turn on and what you can turn off. Erica just posted some of those in the chat, so please upvote them so that we can get more visibility here and have more flexibility on ways to turn these on and off. Because the one key one, probably the most popular one that we hear about is uploads. Client uploads, that's not included in this. So this will show you a daily thing of who answered questions, but you're still getting multiple emails anytime a client uploads files. So that's a separate thing. And we've got the feature request out there to have availability to bulk those together as well. All right. Let's
With that,
jump
we can
into
definitely
the,
shoot over to our
yeah.
demo. Yeah, I've got a couple of questions kind of collected. So I'll answer any that are in the chat right now related to um, settings
Settings
first
first.
while we're in kind of that same mode. And then anybody else who has asked like a non-setting related question, I'll get to you second. So let's quickly start with difference between practice settings and
Yes.
your user settings now that we have a visual for that.
Yeah. So both are going to be up here in the corner right next to each other. The first one here is practice settings. That's that setting cog, that wheel. And then your user settings is going to be that icon or picture, depending on how you have that set up. Before we jump into either of those, let me go ahead and show you where that client list one is because it's a one-off and kind of in a different spot. So here in your client list itself, if you come up to special features, you will have the option for these display settings. So to truncate, this is going to be your headers here. If I try to minimize this, it'll start jumbling it up. If I turn on truncate, it'll make it where it just shows the dots. So you don't have all the jumble there. If I have, let me see I think might already be on, or we don't have as much in here. But this one, display incomplete tasks only, it'll show like this, to where it's not going to show zeros or anything like that. It'll just show the number. So you can quickly see which client, which section you need to go to.
This is honestly such a tiny one, but this made my brain love the client list so much more that it only shows any open stuff instead of like just being a wall of numbers. It only, yeah, so there's the difference there is 0, 6 versus 6. So again, not a massive difference, but man, my brain really loved this one. So I was praising the double
The
team
more
really
columns, the
well.
more clients, the more this becomes
Becomes
useful.
a big deal. Exactly. Well, and this poor page has so much on it, which is amazing, but also can be its downfall. So being able to
Yeah.
filter out what you don't need and also be able to customize that display just makes it a little bit easier to use.
All right, next we're going to go into user settings just because we're going to kind of work backwards from simplest to more complex. So in your user settings, again, click on that picture or that icon with your initials in it. It's going to show your user settings here. This is also where you can log out if you ever need to log out and log back in. Or if you're not kicked out, you can always log in there. Here is where you can choose what happens when you press enter. That is there. If you want to upload a picture, you can. Then remove that. You can add in anything there. And then your notifications, those internal ones for the general, your client questions, that's your external for your clients. And when in doubt, you can always hover over these little eyes. It'll tell you a little bit more information.
Yeah, it'll either tell you more info or shoot you over to a help article if there's like more
Yeah.
context that may be
The
needed.
bigger
So,
ones take you to a help article, just so you know
yeah,
the
one's a
difference
good one.
between them.
Yeah, nice one. Good call out
Slate.
there.
Any other
Um,
questions here with our user settings?
The only other thing I want to call out, no question specifically, is that user settings are no matter the level that you are within the firm, standard user, manager, admin, super admin, everybody can see their own individual user settings. And this
Yes.
is not something that I, as an admin, can go in and update somebody else's user settings. So if somebody else is getting bombarded and they're like, dude, I'm gonna die. There are so many emails from Double. This is one that we want to give our team some adjustment and give them some guidance on how to go update and to turn off instant notifications and do some of that. But that's an internal training that we need to do because this is not something that I, as an admin, can go set. So, just an important distinction there that this is available for anybody and they need to go update their own settings, whereas practice settings is only available to those higher ups within the firm itself.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at those. So again, hit that settings wheel. And where do we want to go in here first, Erica?
So let's go over to the workflows tab. Um, And then with this, give me just a second here. Okay, when let's highlight that default closing template that we were talking about. Yep, so that one's right here. Des asked a really good question. Can you set multiple as a default? Right now, you can only set one. Is that correct, Jody? I'm not off base there, right?
Correct. Like I'm
Yeah, you
trying
can
to
just
select multiple and it's not going to let me.
so Des, that might be a good feature request in the meantime, but right now we can only select one. Good question there.
Yes.
And then from there, go ahead and highlight those different roles and what that looks like while we're here, just to give a bit of a visual there.
Yeah. So all of them right here at the top. You can again turn them on or turn them off. This is just uh, for whatever you need them used for. And then override here, uh, you can relabel them as needed.
Beautiful. Um, Chugging right along. Just doing a quick scan to make sure I'm not missing
Yeah.
anything. Let's go ahead and go over to show that file review since that's one that gets really complicated. Oh, section
Okay.
manager is a good one as
Yep,
well,
section
since that
manager.
one
Here's where that
hides.
client details will, you can turn that on if you want that to be shown. And then, yep, file reviews all the way over here at the end by itself. The other thing we didn't highlight in our slides, but is also kind of helpful to know, is you have a default file review row count. So by default, it's 20. But if you want that default to always start with the highest number possible, so you again less clicks as you're going through, you can set that here as well.
Yeah, really good one to know. Let's go to client portal next and just show a couple of those that we highlighted.
Here on client portals, we went to the inbound questions and files.
Yep,
Here's where
see
you
this
can
is where you can do
automatically
that firm
sync.
name. Yeah.
Yep,
Um,
and show firm name here.
Beautiful. And this is a really good one to call out. So, Jody, just to confirm, if we're doing that automatically sync uploaded transaction files, does that
Hmm.
mean that if we request a receipt and that person gives us that receipt or uploads it to that question, that'll automatically sync? Like that's what we're talking about
If
here?
you're asking from a transaction, yes. If it's in the non-transaction questions, no, because it doesn't know what to attach it to. You can always move it there. And if you move it to the transaction, then it will auto sync it. Um, but this is strictly to anything that's attached to a transaction.
Yeah, that's a really good call out. Otherwise, Double doesn't know what to sync that one to. So
Yeah.
that's the easiest way to think about that is that if it's asked on a transaction question, which most of us, that's where we're going to ask that question anyway. It's pretty intuitive, but that will pass over and automatically get attached to the transaction there. So good one and answered a good question there. Thank you. Uh, let's see if there's any other ones. I think all client settings is the next one we can shift to. I do
Okay.
have a question on that one.
So here's our archived clients. You can show it and hide. I don't have any in this one. Do you want me to go to the other one?
No, this is totally
Okay.
fine. Just know that if you have archived and you have told, if you've archived regardless of whether you have these shown or not, they will show up here and you can click into that file, see the full client page, see any previous questions or anything like this. So regardless of whether you show them on the client list, again, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to get to them. I know that that's a common concern that a lot of people have. This is just why I want it shown on the client list. This is a really good one to call out, though. Kelly brings up a really good point.
Hmm.
Archived clients at this point still show up in our like workflows tab of this settings set or table, and also still show up in the drop down when we're on the client page and we're switching between those. I went ahead and dropped a feature request on Kelly's question inside of the chat, but I'll go ahead and put it just in the general comments as well. So that one, you're not missing anything if you're confused about why those archive clients are still showing in the dropdowns. There is a feature request out there so that that can be filtered out or that you can click a setting for that or anything like that.
Great questions.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all the ones that I have regarding settings. Is there anything else
Okay.
you wanted to highlight while we were here, Jody?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm in the same boat.
If any
There's
more come up, just drop them in the chat and we'll get back to them.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll circle back anytime. Um, this is one that we could dive into this for the whole hour. So just keep any questions coming if you have any more that are coming up. But let's shift gears just a little bit if you're cool with that, Jody.
Yep.
Okay, so Sean has a question about can we summarize the new like chat enhancements? Because chats is one of those things that a lot of us like the concept, but they can be a little bit clunky. So I will say that this is one that's getting rolled out slowly over time. You may or may not see this as the new update just yet in your account. So just
Trying to think.
understand
So
that
this
if
is the old. I can show you. I don't have much in
Oh
our
yeah, go
demos, but
ahead.
I can show you old versus new. Again, I just don't have a lot of stuff in our demo as far as multiple chats and that kind of thing. So this is what has bin in here where it's open, unread, all. Now, and it's getting rolled out. So if you don't see it yet, it's coming. Um, the new one looks more like this. So it's going to be all open comments, unread. It's going to be more of a traditional chat style or text feed. And again, I don't have any in this demo to be able to show you, but that is one difference here. The other latest update for it is being able to turn on your or edit like what's showing here in your comments column. Let me see if we have any comments on our old one. We don't.
By default, this is going to show if there's any open comments,
Yes.
um, or at least that was the case before this new rollout. Okay, it would show all comments that are open. That can be really hard to notice if there's anything new or if there's something that we're just waiting on another team member to catch and see their side of it. So, one of the newer updates now is that when this gets rolled out to your account, then it'll just show like that little chat bubble or number if there's something new. Right? We can go in and edit these settings a little bit if we were like, wait, no, I want to be able to see all of them. Then we can go in workflows and down at the very bottom there is display all open comments. So again, we can go back and kind of toggle this on if we did want to see it. But this is just a couple of display changes with the notifications inbox and then what you want to actually see on your client list.
You've also now, so with the updates too, there's some more availability. So you can copy the URL if you want somebody to go directly to this from another space. You can copy that, and then just some of the buttons look a little bit more refreshed for marking things red or marking them closed.
You can still
Resolve,
do
open.
searching, anything like
Yes.
that is all still really, really good, honestly. That's one of the things that I really love about comments is that you can search basically anything within that comment or within the task and it'll pull up that comment too if you're trying to search for a
Mhm.
task name, but I don't know what anybody put on as the comment. Those are pretty intuitive to go back to.
But again, if you're not seeing that update yet, it's coming. They're rolling it out over the next week or so to
Yeah, slowly
everybody.
but surely. And that should make it a little bit easier. The same functionality is still going to work where you're still going to be able to tag a teammate. And honestly, if you are using double chats or comments and your team is having a hard time with them, one of my first suggestions is making sure everybody's actually tagging the person that they're trying to get that comment to.
Yes.
It's really common to see just adding it or to go in and type in their name, but you need to use the at symbol and then click on that person's name. It's very similar to Slack if anybody's comfortable with that platform and trying to make the connection here. So those are a couple of troubleshootings just to make sure that the person on the other end actually has the notifications that is coming directly to them. And that way you're less likely to miss something if it's just attached to a comment, but it's kind of floating. And nobody's been specifically tagged in that. So a couple of good
And
mentions there. Go
Sean, if
ahead.
this is a feature that you're itching to have on yours, if it's been a while since you've logged out and logged back in, I'd recommend doing that. Because sometimes some of these things don't fully kick in until you've been all the way out of the system and come back into the system. Um, so you could try that a few times a week until it hits you.
Just making sure you're logging out at the end of the day, so maybe you have a surprise in the morning.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, anything else on comments that you wanted to add in,
No,
Jody? Okay, beautiful.
what's next?
Oh, actually, I do have one that I wanted to call out while we're kind of on comments in general. Do you mind opening up like Growth Custom or any of the client accounts that we have? I had a question on a team training that I was doing here recently where somebody didn't want to add a comment to a specific task, but they wanted to
Hmm.
add like the client-wide comment. Can you
Yeah.
do a quick refresher
Oh,
for anybody that
absolutely.
didn't
I
know this
love
was an
doing
option?
this. Yes. So to real quick recap, so you've got these chat bubbles all throughout Double, to where you can comment, and that's going to be attached to this task. Or if you're, oh, this one's not connected right now. If you're, and that you can do it on a transaction and that kind of thing too. At the very top is where you can see all comments for a client, and it'll show you, the task, the transaction, or whatever it might be. But from here, you can do one that's just attached to this client. So if you come up here again to this comments where it's kind of like your summary, and then you've got the availability to add a comment here. And it's going to be able to do that. It's not assigned to a task. It's not assigned to a transaction. It is just connected to this client. And you can do that from the close pages, I mean the client list as well. That's what I did a second ago. Is just clicking in here to see the summary, and you can click that add comment.
Yeah, just a really tiny one that I wanted to make sure to
Yeah.
call out because sometimes when we're talking about comments, there's that like lack or that's when somebody might have to use a secondary software like Slack or send an email or something like that because they're like it doesn't pertain to a specific
Yeah.
task. Like it doesn't, it's just a client-wide thing I need to let you know about.
Yeah.
So just wanted to make sure that that was kind of while we were talking about comments anyway.
Yes. Yeah. I use that feature all the time when I'm helping people set up double. I'll ask lots of questions that way for clients.
Okay. Beautiful. Thanks for that, Jody. Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate the little detour there. Okay, next up, Kelly. So go ahead and go into templates for me, Jody. I know we have a ton in here, so nobody have a connection over how many we have. Again, not a should. This is just a sandbox where we get to play. So relax your shoulders if you're like, is this how many templates I should have? Maybe, maybe no. But Kelly, amazing question. I have to give you a kind of unfortunate answer. So is there a way to import an organizer, like if you're using an onboarding form, or if you're using a template from another like software or anything like that, is there a way to do a CSV upload or import? Short answer right now is no, and I'm so sad about that.
Yes.
So right now you're not missing anything. Just want to make sure that that's super clear, and I'll find the feature request for you regarding being able to import a template or an organizer because that would be amazing. Right now, that's not an option, so there's at least not anything that you're missing, Kelly.
Right.
Good feature
That's
request though.
across, like, there's nowhere to import templates for anything.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So,
So
yeah.
just wanted to make sure that we covered that one.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Next up.
Oh, she has a good point about there being community templates. So, if there's not a feature request for that, let's make sure we create one this week
Yeah,
because example, on our tasks, there's browse community to be able to see templates that other users have uploaded, um, or shared. I should say shared, not uploaded, that other users have shared. And these are all task templates. But I think that is a great feature request, Kelly, is to have that availability on the other areas within templates
yeah,
to be
for
able to
sure.
share organizers or share other resources and other templates in general.
Yeah, really good
Great,
one
great call out.
for sure. I'll find the feature request, and if there isn't one, I'll create a new one.
Create
That's
one.
a little bit
Yeah.
more like bigger breadth on that. The next one I have for you, Jody, is there any way to bulk delete closes that were created by accident?
This is
Or if
another, I
you were
wish I
just
had
using
better.
double like
Yeah,
way previously and you're going back to it?
this is actually something I was talking with a team member of ours today because we're doing a mini cleanup project for somebody, and we're having to help clean up some old closes for them. And the answer is an unfortunate no. There is not a way to bulk delete. You do have to go one by one, and in between each one, the page
The
is going to
page
completely reload
reloads.
on you.
Yeah, that's what
So,
I figured.
unfortunately, not able to bulk delete closes right now. But they're probably another, again, this is another great feature request. I know more and more people are trying to do that cleanup work, and tidy things up, or especially if it's gotten created by accident and you've got a lot of clients, that's a lot to do. So the unfortunate answer right now is no. But let's get a feature request out there and increase the visibility on that too. And hopefully we can get that capability soon. Oop,
Yeah, I did
Erica's
go ahead
already
and
posted it.
I got that one at least. And then Kelly posted
Awesome.
one about organizers as well. So
Yay.
getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah.
For anybody that doesn't know, if you upvote a feature request, what happens is one, the double team gets more visibility because they go off of a volume metric. Like the ones that get the most upvotes are the ones that they're going to implement or spend more development time on. The other secondary benefit is that you get updated as the team moves it through or if they've marked it as complete. So you're one of the first ones to know if it has been updated and that feature's been rolled out. So even if you like, don't really care about the visibility piece and you're like, there's plenty of people on that one, that's why I like to go ahead and upvote is that I at least get visibility on when that changes or if it's in progress or if it gets completed, stuff like that as well. So just wanted to make sure that we mention
Yeah.
what actually happens when you upvote something like that.
Yeah. And those notifications, you'll get it here. So if you, I'm probably one of the few that I'm always in this. I'm looking at the change log every week. I'm looking at feedback all the time, nerding out. But if you don't spend a lot of time in here, you also get emails. So it'll email you and say this exact thing. Post you voted on has been completed. So then you can get all excited like I do and run to double and see where that new feature is.
And I'm actually out of questions. So if there's any others that
Hmm.
you have in your back pocket or that something you needed troubleshooting, like, hey, is there any way to do this? I can't find it. Anything like that, feel free to throw it in the chat. In the meantime, let's actually show, we talked about, unfortunately, there's no way to bulk delete closes. There is the ability now to bulk update due dates. So let's go ahead and
Yes.
highlight that in the task menu because there's quite a bit that you can do there now.
Yes. Yep. We're moving over to our tasks tab. So this beauty here. Um, and
Some beauty, some monster. It comes with the territory. It's a big chunky list. So some of us are
a
like, I don't want to
beautiful
touch that with a
monster of
10-foot pole.
yes, a beautiful beast of a thing. So anytime you use this column off to the side to select something, you're going to get a bulk menu action at the bottom, and it'll tell you what's available for you to do in bulk. So if I select multiples, I can change the status. I can change the assignee. I can now change the due date. Let's see, these are all custom tasks, which means that I can also set them to repeat if I want to. And I can choose all of those details and do that in bulk across multiple tasks at one time, which can save so much time if you're doing some big updates there. Again, you've got tags you can add in bulk. You can now also move them. So if in bulk, so if you have been expanding your double account, or if your double account's been too big and you're now condensing into smaller sections, so more sections, less sections, whatever the reason may be, if you need to move tasks from one section to another, you can do that in bulk from this task list as well. Select your tasks and then come down and select the section that you want it to go to. Caveat here is custom tasks can only be moved to other custom task sections. Closing tasks can only be moved to other closing task sections. Firm tasks
Mhm.
can only be moved to firm task sections. So it still has to be within that same grouping, but you'll have that option here from your drop down. And finally, bulk deleting tasks. So we can't bulk delete closes, but we do have the availability to bulk delete the tasks themselves. So those are there. No, unfortunately, you can't delete all of the tasks out of a close and that delete the close. That would be nice, but that's not the case. But you can
Yeah,
do
that's
some
one of
bulk
those that we
deleting
got
in here.
creative and tried that one and it doesn't work. So save your time there. Couple of things I want to call out while we're here, and then I do have a couple of other questions to pop
Excellent.
to you. Um, so bulk deleting. Now that you know what you can do, a couple of call outs for when this might be useful. So if you are going through for a brand new client and you have a bunch of weekly tasks and these like handful of clients, we shifted them. We usually work on them on Mondays. Maybe we're shifting them to Tuesday or we're onboarding some new clients and we need to set them all for Monday. This is one that came up on a training call that I was doing, and somebody was like, please tell me I don't have to do these each individually, one by one by one. So, no, you can absolutely filter this list as much or as little as you want to and say, hey, I want these 5 clients, I want this section, I want these tasks, and then to bulk do them. So, really good call out there for due dates. The other thing is if you are a friend that does not use all of the default reports that come in double, whether they're just not helpful for the industry that you're in, or you're like, dude, I'm just trying to get through day to day, man. There's a lot in here. I will grow into them, but I'm not using them yet. This is one of the best ways to go remove the defaults that automatically drop into a connected client if there are a handful that you don't use. You can always add them back. That's super easy to do. This is the easiest page to go delete those across multiple clients. So just want to make a couple of call outs there for when this might be useful to make it a little bit
Mhm.
more applicable. You would miss. Okay. Couple of comments here if you're ready for them, Jody.
Sure.
Okay. Um, I actually don't know the answer to this one, so I'm kind of curious too. Um, if we wanted to be able to like print to PDF or have a record of a back and forth that was on like a non-transaction question, maybe to be able to attach to that transaction in QBO. Let's say that that's our use case here. What's the easiest way to do that?
I'm thinking.
Because you can always go back and double and see that back and forth, even if a client is archived. So let's kind of make sure that we have that context. I'm wondering if I think this might be a screenshot case scenario, but I
Yeah.
at least wanted to kind
Well,
of see if you have any ideas here,
and I
Jody.
know screenshot may not be the best if you do have a lot of back and forth, because then you have to do multiple screenshots. I'm trying to see if we have one that's resolved. See what we have available in here. So there is not going to be a specific, I mean, you can export your question list. So that's going to give you everything. So you're not selecting one and doing an export of it. It's going to show you everything. You might be able to filter by that question and then export and then only save what you want. Otherwise, I think you might be right that it's going to be screen grab or highlight everything, copy and paste it somewhere.
Yeah, that
So
one's a really good
there's not an
feature
easy,
request.
yeah. The
Yeah,
only other
really
one
good.
is if you right click or like, do a thing and print your whole screen.
If you are doing, if you are trying to capture a lot of back and forth, just remember that you can either command or control and hit minus to zoom out or, yeah, zoom like out on your screen so you can see more. That may just mean that you have less like individual screenshots that you have to do if it takes up a good amount of the page. I know that's not a great like suggestion, but at least want to make sure that if we don't have a good way to do that, I'm at least giving you a suggestion on how to make that the most efficient as possible. So there's at least the best tip that we have for right now or a good workaround. Definitely a good feature request to have because I know that that's a common one that we want to be able to like back that up within QBO and not just in double. So really good mention there. Ready for the next one, also pertaining to non-transaction questions?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Oh, and then timing wise, we'll do a quick wrap up and then come back to any other questions,
Okay.
just in case people need to hop off at the top of the hour. So, Stephanie, ooh, I love this question, but I'm sad that it might have an unfortunate answer. So, Jody, in the
Mhm.
template section, we can create transaction question templates for stuff that we add very commonly. As far as you know, there's no non-transaction question templates that we can do other than just copying and pasting them every single time. Am I correct on that?
For these templates, yes.
Okay.
I know that there's a feature request out there for recurring question templates somewhere.
Yeah, and so just to make sure everybody's on the same page here with what we're actually talking about, if you needed to ask individual questions, doesn't look like there's a good way to do that. If it is something that you are going to ask every week, every 2 weeks for like a payroll hourly sheet or for the statement request, that is a great use of recurring questions because you can automatically have double drop those in on a certain frequency. So I would definitely recommend, Stephanie, if that's something that is regular, and can be like automated, then that's how I would go about it is a recurring question. Otherwise, you're not missing anything that there isn't a template for that section. And that's definitely one that we all would go upvote. Erica here. As I'm editing this Q&A, I realize that there is actually a way to do this. So let's review that together really quickly. So we're going to go to templates, and your templates for the transaction questions are absolutely here on the questions tab. But you can create a task template that includes a client portal question that is a non-transaction question. So what I would do, if I needed to create a template for this so that I didn't have to re-ask the same question over and over and over again and like copy and paste it, is I would add a new template, add a client question area so that you can add a client portal question. These are always going to be non-transaction questions. And here in the subject line, you can put what the actual like access or report or whatever your like topic for this is. You can enter your question here and then select the tag. So whatever you would usually use here. And then if you need to add or edit any of the non-transaction question tags, you can do that from here. So let me just go ahead and do a quick example. Let's say that this is like a report that's due, and we can't set up a recurring question because it's not going to happen on the same frequency. We just need it ready to drop in whenever, but we want anybody on our team to be able to use consistent language here. So let's just say that this is other, and your or has been submitted or whatever your wording is, honestly, just copy and paste. You can always use something like XXX or a bracket to be able to enter in and kind of remind your team that something needs to be entered in. So let's do this as a quick example, and then I'll show you how to use this. So we definitely want to name our template. So this is non-transaction question for reports in this example, something like that. And then let's go into a client so I can show you how this would be used. So let's just say this is our client that we're going to use this on. And when I'm ready, I can go up here, go to templates. That'll open up this window over top of it. And then we're just going to scroll down to find that actual reporting, that non-transaction template. We're going to apply to clients. We're going to select the client that we want to drop them into. In this case, I'm going to drop it in without previewing because I know what's going to happen here. And then if there is anything that the team needs to go fill in, part of the process needs to be before you move on to something else, go in here and edit that question. So this really comes into play if there's like they need to file their sales tax and it's a certain dollar amount that you're going to enter in. That's when you would use that brackets or XXX or something like that, and then just go edit that question once you've dropped it in to add in that quantity or add in any other additional details. Hit save. And then if you have email reminders turned on, then this will let them know next time that's scheduled. It'll let them know that they have a new question in there, or we can message the client specifically that we have a new question in the portal and send that out. as part of this process as well. So just wanted to include this while I was thinking about it because I realized that we completely blanked on the call. Um, Definitely let us know if you have any questions, but just remember that this template is going to be used when you can't use a recurring question, like it's not on a recurring frequency or something that is predictable. It's kind of a uh, we need to have it in our back pocket for whenever. That's when I would use this workaround. Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick
Real
wrap up
quick.
here. Yeah, and then we'll come back because I do have a couple more questions.
Yep.
Okay, so next month, same bat time, same bat channel, third Wednesday of the month, we're actually doing one on how to trim down double if you're a little bit overwhelmed by all of the defaults, or you're just brand new to double and you're trying to like get your bearings before you touch all of the fun, fancy stuff. So that'll be a good one to tune into if you're still feeling a little bit overwhelmed with double as its default. We do have a bunch of free resources. So, any previous recordings, if you want to go back and look at templates or how to do your client portal and customize it, anything like that, you can go find a recording on. We also have a bunch of additional resources like fun PDFs and stuff like that on our on our YouTube, on our website, hughesandstrong.com/double. So that's a couple of freebies if you like this kind of style of thing. And then if you heard us talk about us being on team
Mhm.
trainings or doing a cleanup, or you just want a second set of eyes because you're not sure if you're doing any of these right, we offer a full range of support, whether that's, like I said, team training, diagnostic reviews, all the way to, I'll tell you everything you need to know about a client, but can you go in and set it up for me because I don't want to do the setup. So wide range. If there's anything that you want help with in double, whether it's a brainstorming session with us all the way to actually having hands-on help, reach out to us at hughesandstrong.com/contact. That'll get you straight to me and I'll help you figure out what offers might be the best or what kind of services we might be able to help with and get you pricing. So if you have any questions or you realize that there's a good amount that you want to clean up in double, just let us know and I'll get you to the right person and the right page. Alrighty, with that, back to the demo. Um,
I saw a great question from
Go for
Kelly.
it.
I'm going to jump straight to that.
Yeah.
She was asking if somebody has sent in something on a non-transaction question, can I move that to another one? So let me find one that has an attachment. Can I search for it? Let's
They
see.
sent it via email just to help clarify the actual question.
Oh, they sent it from email.
Mhm.
If you're using double emails, I think you might be able to. No.
I know that if you're using double emails, you can attach it to, you can link it to a task, but I think you're right, Kelly, that I have not found that you can attach it to a non-portal question, a non-transaction question from there. I think
I
that
mean,
might
you
be a
could
gap
print,
within the
that would be
system.
another where you could print it, print PDF of the email, or take the attachment from the email and you can upload it here so that it gets linked to it.
Yeah, looks like that's a more manual process right now,
Yeah.
Kelly. So I don't think that you're finding it at two screens as well if you're like have two tabs open and then kind of move yourself over from there. But Kelly, that's a really great one, especially since we can attach something to a task. It would not be super out of the realm to be able to have a button for attached to a
Mhm.
non-transaction question and search that question as well. So pretty good feature request there.
What other questions do we have outstanding?
The only other thing that I'm seeing is Ellen has a great call out for anybody that is using Canadian clients,
Yes.
that there is a known issue. with the Chrome extension not pulling in the reconciliation date. It'll just show invalid. So just know that that's a known issue. You can absolutely reach out to double support to have your name being added to that ticket. So again, you get updated when that is fixed and resolved. But really good call out there, especially since we don't have Canadian clients. That's not something that we would have an eye on. So great one, Ellen.
Mhm.
While we're here, quick wrap up. How do we reach out to support if that is something that is unfamiliar to anybody, Jody?
Yes, and I will say don't hesitate to reach out to them. The support team is absolutely phenomenal. The button is right here in the bottom right corner. It is always there, always available. Click on that, and it's going to give you several options. If you're running into a bug, if something like keeps happening and you're not sure why, you can always record your screen. So click on that record screen. You can do it with or without audio and then send a little blurb for why you are sending them that recording. That is incredibly helpful to the support team to be able to answer your questions. Um, they do have where you can just start a chat with them. It's always going to start you with the AI agent first. So give that a try, see if it answers your question with the resources that's built in. If not, you can always say, I want to talk to a person, and then it's going to get you connected with a live team member. But lots of helpful resources in here as well to help you as you troubleshoot. If you are looking for those feature requests or want to send in a new feature request, you can do that from here as well, right here at the bottom. Help us improve double. Click on that, and it's going to open up that canny window within the support chat box here. But yeah, don't hesitate to reach out to the team. They're all phenomenal.
And
If
that's
you
this kind of sounds cliche, but we are probably one of the ones that bug them the most just because we're
all the
in lots of
time.
accounts, we're running into lots of issues, we're looking through the change log and being like, where is this? And we have not, in fact, we've gotten express like, hey, you're not being a bother. This is what we're here for.
Yes.
So just wanted to pass that along that like that feels really cliche and it feels like you're really being a bother, but that's honestly what they're here for. So
Yeah.
just passing that along for anybody that has that bother cycle.
And if
Alrighty,
you
friend.
end up having like an open ticket, you can access those from here as well.
Oh, cool. Good to know.
So there's multiple tabs. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, well, we are at the top of the hour, just a little bit over. I'm going to go ahead and pop in our um, contact link just in case you do have more questions that are a little bit more nuanced to your account or want to be able to actually reach out for more support. Otherwise, we hope you have a great rest of your April, and hopefully we will see you next month for the next Q&A. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.